I'm Dr. Scott Brown, board-certified chiropractic neurologist. Autoimmune disorders are the scourge of our society right now, and they're not being treated properly. I know because I was one of you. I have an autoimmune disorder that has disrupted 10 years of my life. There was an attack by my own antibodies in my body on my adrenal glands, which caused me insomnia that would last from days to weeks at a time. I know many of you out there have suffered with not this particular aspect of autoimmune, but on other or with other aspects, and I know what you're going through. Autoimmune disorders are not addressed by traditional or alternative medicine. Nutritional, glandular, hormone therapies do not work. The focus is not on autoimmune attacks, and it should be. Now, an autoimmune attack could occur against any tissue in the body. The most common gland attacked by autoimmune is the thyroid gland. And an autoimmune thyroid can either be Graves' disease, which is hyper or too much thyroid, or Hashimoto's, which is more common, and that's hypo or too little thyroid. And these conditions are almost never investigated for autoimmunity. And yet 90% of those suffering with hypothyroid have Hashimoto's, and it's never even tested. You're given Synthroid and Levothyroid, and these medications do not work. Now, in an autoimmune disease, the body's own tissue has attacked the body, as it did in my case. There can be genetic reasons, there can be environmental reasons, there can be endocrine dysfunction, there can be chemical exposure, there can be stress, and on and on and on. And in the traditional model, pharmaceutical model, it's treated with, as we said, the Synthroid drugs and cortisone for the adrenals. And these are immune suppressing drugs that are given to a problem that is an immune problem, further suppressing the immune system. Sometimes they even take out the thymus. The approach is not centered on immune evaluation and is clinically insignificant. The new model is an understanding of immunology, is an understanding of the evaluation of laboratory testing and evaluation, and an understanding of natural compounds that are specifically used to support the immune system. So let's take a look. When we have our normal immune system, we have barriers: the skin, the gut mucosa, the respiratory mucosa, and the blood-brain barrier. And all these are our initial first line against germs, bacteria, and virus, the invaders. Now, we all know that they get past these defense mechanisms, and when they do, what happens is the one half of our immune system comes into play, which is what's called the Th1, or the T helper cell 1 system, which will stimulate the production of our little soldiers that help fight these germs and bacteria. And this is an inflammatory reaction. So the little soldiers go out there and get inflamed and they start shooting the invaders. This is called cell-mediated immunity. And when it does its job, it kills the invaders. And then the second half of our immune system takes over, the T helper cell 2 system, which produces B cells, which are like the sweepers who come along and take away all the dead bodies of the invaders, the germs and viruses, and they get them out of our system. This is called humoral immunity. These two systems have to work in harmony. So when you get your cold, it should last maybe a couple of days if it's bypassed the physical barrier system. It comes in, these invaders are destroyed, and then the second half of your system will take these invaders out of the system. When one of these two systems becomes dominant, you have an autoimmune disease. And there's either an inflammatory reaction that goes on and on and on, either in either of these systems, or there's an immune dysregulation system that goes on and on and on. And these type of systems will produce antibodies to your own tissue that will attack different glands. Now, if we take supplements or drugs to support a gland that there's nothing wrong with, but instead our body's own system is destroying without connecting to that immune system, then you'll be taking these drugs forever and seeing no results. I've been there. I know what it's like. This kind of suffering is nothing that I would wish on the worst people in the world. Now, there's other things that are going on, and in brain-based therapeutics, which is what we do, we look at both sides of the brain, and just briefly, the right hemisphere sends its information to organ systems which are involved in immune suppression. The left hemisphere sends its information to systems that are involved in immune resistance. And when the hemispheres aren't working together, then you can have a probability that one of these two systems might be stimulated in an abnormal way. I have been there. I want you to know there is hope for those of you who are suffering from autoimmune disease. You can live a happy life and a healthy life, and I now can count on going to sleep every night. I can count on my body. I know some of you have other problems in other different systems, and you'd like to be counting on your body. We have a waiting list practice in our office. Before someone comes in, I like to have a 5-minute phone screening to see if this does fit this approach, if I do think it's an autoimmune disorder. And so you can look at our website, find our telephone number, call my staff and tell them you would like a 5-minute consultation. And then we'll see if this type of approach is going to help you. I look forward to it. Thank you.